world of fantasy, romance, sci-fi, adventure, and more. It's time for the Author Hour, your guide to fantastic fiction, hosted by Matthew Peterson. It's a weekly visit with the masters of fiction as we meet with the top authors of today. Now, here's Matthew Peterson.
A series of unfortunate events appearing on the New York Times bestseller list coincided with the creation of a New York Times bestseller list for children's books. And so my publisher told me, in a few weeks they're going to create this new bestseller list, but we're afraid you're not going to be on it, and here's why. And then a few weeks later it appeared, and I think the first week I had 4 volumes on it.
Oh, man.
Unbelievably shocking. It also coincided with my move out of New York back to San Francisco, my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
On the first night that I arrived in San Francisco, I met some old friends for dinner at a restaurant, and we were all excited I was back in town, and then I had this tremendous Xerox copy of the New York Times bestseller list. So it was a very, extremely giddy evening for me, and it's a giddiness that's lasted almost 10 years now.
4 friends discover that magicians have come to their town and have started sharing magical candy with certain kids. For example, there's a type of candy where if you give it to an animal for a short time, you can have a conversation with that animal. They discover all the candy has different powers, but to get more candy, they have to fulfill tasks or assignments from these magicians. When those tasks get kind of shady, then the books get interesting, and the kids have to figure out who's their friends, who's their enemies, and use some of that candy to fight back. So whereas Fablehaven is kind of fantasy out in the woods on these secret wildlife sanctuaries with magical creatures, Candy Shop has more of a feel of fantasy in your neighborhood, more of a superhero kind of vibe with these magical candies giving kids powers and stuff.
Do you ever get any complaints from parents saying, hey, you're teaching kids to take candy from strangers?
When you get to the end of the book, part of the lesson of the book is don't take candy from strangers, basically.
Okay.
I hardly ever get complaints because of the direction the book goes, basically.
All right.
Especially newer writers, we tend to rely on the visual.
Yeah.
You know, what the character sees, but you're missing out on a whole bunch of other stuff with, like, smelling and touch and taste and sounds and all. And I try and include more than the visual in my descriptions. And actually, when I look at the study books, I think Poison Study was on taste. Magic Study had a whole thing with smells. And then Fire Study was all on touch.
Yeah. And I'm dulled on all those. I have bad hearing, I can't smell anything, I can't taste anything, and my wife's just the opposite. She's got superpowers, and so it's sometimes hard to remember that, you know what, even though because you might not have the best taste or smell or whatever, other people do, you know, and got to put that in your writing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons it's been so successful is because it kind of creates this whole new world, which is Foo, and this boy, Levin, who discovers that it's up to him to not only save this world, which is where imagination and dreams go to become gigantic, but save our world as well, reality. It's heavily based on humor and adventure, but this great new place, which is Foo, and all sort of new terms, new places, and exciting new things that happen. It's been a lot of fun.